everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking with Friends. I am Josh Shernoff, and these are my friends. First, my brother, Mr. Fred Shernoff. Fred, welcome back to the show.
Hello.
Directly below you is one very special Matt Mangol. Mangol, welcome. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Great to be here, guy.
To your right, below me, is Calvin Tan. Calvin Tan.
Man, good to be here, man.
So, all right. So Calvin Tan is, Calvin's here. Looks like he's been caught mid-Donnie right now. But that's okay. He's doing fine. Yeah, Calvin's traveling right now. Was supposed to be back here, or at least letting us know if he was going to be late or not. That man has done neither. He's in the
upside down, everybody. He's in the upside down. So
he's in the upside down.
Prayers. Freaking demogorgons.
Yeah, we're thinking about him right now. So, welcome everybody. Today, here's a fun thing. Remember Talking with Friends used to be about the TWF and all the wrestling stuff we used to do, and then we were like, okay, we're done with that. We did it. Well, today, as we record this on June 9th, it is the 15th anniversary of TWF Returns. That, to refresh your memory, is the night that superstar Rocky Styles defended the TWF World Championship against Mangol with Lee Harrison Styles on commentary. So, and Calvin Tan, I don't think was there. So I think this is perfect.
And 15 years ago was my final professional wrestling match.
Yes.
Yes, it was. And Matt Mangol, if you can show off your shirt to those watching on FITE right now, little House Sagan action. Today is also the 15th anniversary of Dave Sagan's first match ever. So never really put two and two together, the fact that you retired the day he debuted at the same show.
Interesting.
Man, so 15 years ago, does it feel like 15 years?
Yeah.
Some days it does and some days it doesn't, right?
It doesn't feel like 15 years to me. Like it feels like 10. And I know we're nitpicking, but it feels like 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. But I have right over here in my office, I actually have my gear hanging up, my blue tights that I actually wore for the first time that night. It's what I wore all through my run in OVW, except for when it was in the wash, and then I wore my black ones. But yeah, so just wanted to acknowledge that. I'm sorry?
How long did it take you to do your wash?
I used to, when I was living in Kentucky, we had to send our wash out. We didn't have like a communal washer or dryer or anything. So you had to actually put your stuff into a bag with your apartment number written on the bag. And you had to walk it. For me, it was just right across the street, right across the driveway. But for other people, it was some people would actually drive it over because it was a pretty big thing. I just lived right across from the office. But you would take it and drop it off on a specific day, and they would do your wash. And I just kind of like hoped for the best. I'm like, I guess they can wash my tights. And I just threw them in there one day, and they came back in good condition. So I was like, well, this works.
Well, there are a lot of wrestlers in that complex.
Yeah, so I figured that's what I thought. I'm like, I can't be the first one. Everyone lived there. So they either lived there or one right next door to it. So yeah, but I would send them off. But what would happen sometimes, because listen, if you're sweating or what, like sometimes, look, we'd Febreze back in the day, you give it a little wash in the sink to kind of keep you going. But there were some days where you're like, all right, man, these just really, I've worn these for like 2 weeks straight. And yeah, I'm washing, I'm not Vadering it. I'm actually washing them in my apartment and stuff. But I'd be like, okay, let's send these out. And I think I'm going to wear my black tights for this next one. And I did, but not that often because they really sucked. It was the people who made, I forget what they were called. Matt, do you remember who made that gear? You never got any gear from them, did you?
Is that Easy Money?
No, Easy Money made our gear. Easy Money of ECW fame. Yeah. He made your like pleather pants and your singlet.
Which he said he couldn't do the Kevin Nash style because
he couldn't. It had to be the big
too little material. So instead, I had the fucking Morad.
I'm not doing Morad anymore. I don't have time to edit. It's just
a gimmick.
this is just rated R now, guys.
Anyway, we'll refer to it as Mo Rod then. So, I had the Mo Rodded Tajiri pants, which look, mind you, were comfortable. Just saying. But I would have preferred the Kevin Nash style.
But so you had yours from Easy Money. Easy Money also made my 2003 era blue tights that had like the star and the S, but also had the little gimmicks on the side. Fun fact: Dave Sagan wore the pants without the superstar stuff on top for a while, not for his first match. His first match, he wore jeans. Why? Because the people who did a horrible job on my gear, also where they did like it looked like they did a great job on the S for the tights, but then the kick pads looked like they were like put through like a lava lamp. It was terrible. It just didn't look right. And the person was like, "Oh, my back is hurting and it's tough for me to do this." And I'm like, "Okay, like I don't know what to do with that." But I was polite and gave a whole lot of like, "Hey, you know what? It's fine if you can just, do your best," which if you saw what I have mounted up there, I have the gauntlet gimmicks that I wore.
Right.
That were blue. I had the blue with blue and I had the black with black. Except for the first show, they sent me the black gauntlets and the blue tights and didn't send the blue gauntlets or the black tights. They rushed it to get it out there, and the gauntlets show up and I go, "What the hell is this?" It's like the elastic like drawstring thing, and it's all that. I had asked for like Shawn Michaels-esque spandex gloves, and they gave me these gauntlets, which were so uncomfortable. I remember, Matt, I tried to chop you, and there was like no sound because I had a giant thing like wrapped around my hand that like kept it from even like any part touching. It was horrible. Dave Sagan ordered gear from them, but it didn't get there in time. Because while I was like pleading with them, going like, "I'll pay a rush thing. Can you please just get it, whatever?" Dave was cursing them off and sending them, nasty emails. So he got his much, much later.
He was a very young man.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Look who's here. He's about to show up.
Put it on the screen.
Where? Nope, that's not him. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait, we almost got him. And there he is.
All right.
Hey, handsome. What's happening?
Oh, boy.
Man, Calvin Tan answering the question, how many Rubik's Cubes does one person need to have?
Well, a lot, but as you can see, I've been putting them in jars.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I put mine up my ass. I'm sorry.
So,
Wow.
in various jars.
That
is something.
What is happening here?
I don't know. The show's going to
If you gave somebody 20 years and unlimited guesses, and you made it so they couldn't sleep and could spend every second of those 20 years guessing what Calvin Tan was going to have on his desk when he arrived on camera, there is a 0% chance that anyone would have guessed a number of Rubik's Cubes in varying degrees of jars.
And here's one that's mixed up inside of a jar.
Oh, man. So, anyway, Calvin Tan, welcome. We've just been reminiscing a little bit about a show I don't think you were there for 15 years ago. TWF Returns 15 years ago. And we were talking about the gear that, that we had gotten. And it was also Fred's last match he ever had that night, and Dave Sagan's first match that he ever had. And we were talking about all the different gear, but now that Calvin's here, I feel like we can really just start talking with friends here.
Can we? So I don't know how much we're going to touch on different things about that show, but we've.
I have nothing planned. I have nothing planned for today.
We the audience a story about how Mike Green, sassy Mike Malassi, caused you heartburn before the show, and we never got around, so we ran out of time. So if you'd like,
Hold Up. His name is Hold Up.
Yeah, with the pea shooter.
Well, but his is off to the right. But
hey, now, all right, now we're getting.
Hold on.
All right,
you have to give a very brief
Oh boy.
maybe 2 word each recapitulation of the continuum of the things over the course of Mike Green's wrestling career that have happened. Okay. Or I can if you want. Would you rather me?
Please, the floor is yours.
I don't want to besmirch.
Well, Calvin holds Mike's tripod.
Yeah, well, I mean, the mustard at his house for that barbecue was 3 years expired. But
Remember
anyway,
that? 4th of July.
Yeah.
What year was that?
I
I don't know what year that was, but that was
2000,
2005 maybe.
Yeah.
4th of
So
July,
anyway.
2005, we'll say. Yeah, that
I
man
might miss
offers
something.
mustard to everybody at the table. If I just a sidetrack here, offers mustard, varying
furry mustard.
condiments,
Yeah, it's furry mustard.
and we noticed we're like, mustard does not seem right, and it expired like 3 years ago.
I noticed.
I believe I noticed it.
and I called him out on it, and everybody started making a big deal, and just Calvin was just laying into him about it, and
He's working him over like Harper Holly on Matt.
But so pissed at me because I outed his freaking expired mustard. He's like,
Was
he
that
was so
there?
hurt that like he said he invited everyone over and he's doing this party and then you make fun of my mustard and I'm like, you trying to take us all out.
So you got pissed off, and then he assisted shot on him. Like he took over as a
No,
proxy.
Michael, I should say, very happy for him. I will be in October attending his nuptials. So we're very happy for Michael. Fred is not invited because of the mustard situation and the M Bear. But and then Calvin Tan is not invited because Calvin Tan is not invited because of something that I think happened at like allcrossedup.tripod/tilde whatever.
No, it might have been the Batcave, but anyway.
And I still contend that it was miscommunication.
So Matt was going to tell us some of Sassy's great hits, wrestling related.
Sorry. So okay, furry mustard, not wrestling related, but sort of. That was the start of it all. The man.
That was not the start.
Well, I'm sorry. High
was not
school
the
you
start.
more, but
That was 2005. In 2001,
oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Well, I told you the chronology might be out of mix, but these are just bullet points. The man. Well, this is your fault too. We talked about this in an earlier episode. Hey Josh, why don't you get the thin metal? That's like tin. We'll put that in the hoagie. No. It's got to be rebar. It's got to be rebar. Anyway. Hold on.
Oh.
So he lacerated a fellow colleague with a rebar because he was eating the effing bread of the hoagie to put at a disadvantage mechanically to hold.
If I may,
the rebar.
He had a bar inside of his hoagie. He was supposed to hit John Brody in the head with the hoagie, rip it open, and show that there was a bar inside of it. I wanted him to Triple H sledgehammer him, where he hits Brody with the back of his hand, and there's no risk, or he even just kind of slides and grazes him on the side. Glaze raises him on the side, and I wanted to, wanted it to be like that. Brody insisted that he hit him over the head. I caught them talking about that and said, "No, guys, please do not do that. Do it this way with a 0% chance of Brody getting hurt."
Right.
Brody then said, "Nah, you're going to hit me over the head."
He got opened up, yeah.
But Mike spent the entire time with that Amoroso roll, just picking at it. So when he went back with the hoagie, the top wasn't connected anymore and flew off, and he just hit him straight in the head. But that was about 3 years after the wild Samoan drywall situation.
Oh, I didn't break the drywall. I didn't break the drywall. And you go back to the video footage. You play it, Mike. Your ass went in the.
I don't know if we ever talked about that before. Did we? We must have.
Did not. So we were up one of the few times we went up to Afa's place, the Wild Samoan Training Center in Allentown, and we were
In
working.
the year 2000, this was, I believe, actually.
I don't know if we were working.
2000.
There was always different reasons we were there, but whatever we were there for, we were running some matches and different things in the ring, and Mike was involved in some sort of, I guess, a tag match. It was on the apron,
and I punched him,
and he fell off the apron and directly into the wall, and we didn't know this at the time, and the match just went on, and later it was called to our attention that somebody busted up the wall and someone needs to pay for this, and everyone denied it. But when we reviewed the tape, you rewound the tape, Mike is seen falling straight back into the wall, like comes out of the impact, looks over his shoulder,
turns the head, yep,
sees that he has left quite a dent in the drywall, and then just goes back into the match. And then later,
and still to this day, I had lunch with Mike 2 weeks ago, maybe. He was in town, and he brought it up about how he felt screwed that he had to pay for the drywall. Now, here's the thing. As a grown-up now, having done drywall work myself, having hung new drywall and plastered and all the gimmick schnabbits and everything that you have to do, they absolutely ripped him off. They charged him, I think, $150 to fix a hole in the drywall. All you do, you cut out a new piece, boom, you put it in, or you rip the whole piece of the wall down and you put it in. It wasn't even painted, I don't believe. Or maybe it was painted. I think it was painted white.
They hung a picture over it and pocketed the money. They hung something over it. Remember that last time we went up?
But it was a snakeskin or something.
Was that the same time he took a vertical suplex and landed flat ass and ripped his asshole?
No, that was about 7 years later. So
karma caught up to him.
No, it wasn't 7 years later. That was at the dungeon. I'm sorry, Fred. I can't hear you I can hear Mangol when he talks while I'm talking.
But he got vertical suplex.
I don't understand.
He landed flat legged and ripped his asshole.
He did. Yeah, he just landed right down really hard and he tore his ass. But yeah, so Mike Green held me up.
He's got quite the history.
So here's what happened with the show. Okay. We wanted Mike to do commentary. We had these fond memories of the TWF at its best, which was in 2002, which had Sassy Mike Malassi and the gentleman caller Phil May at the call. And this time we decided we were going to throw Fred in there. Lee Harrison Styles was going to do commentary, kind of to steer the ship in a way. And since Phil was getting a little older, couldn't really drive at night, and and Mike Green was off his rocker, so we decided Fred will make sure that we don't have any New Year's resolution situations.
Did we going into it that the commentary was a work that we were going to dub it in later, or there's that after we figured out?
No, that was commentary was not a work. That was another show. Because I actually have the recording of it. It was actually in there. It was just really bad. Audio was always an issue for us. Still is for you, Fred. So long story short, we really wanted Mike to come out there because we wanted to kick off the show by announcing out your guest, people, and Sassy Mike Malassi's music would hit and the crowd would go crazy. And in fairness, the crowd did, but it was a very small crowd, and it was all like people who were like friends and family and stuff. But we really wanted that. But Mike he was in a different place in his life. He was living in New York. He was working as a page for NBC. He didn't have his heart in it. He didn't want to be a part of it. He didn't want to wrestle anymore. He didn't even want to wrestle at the end in 2003, and we had to like beg him to do that one match.
Was he burned out?
I think he was burnt. Yeah, he was, I don't know. He wasn't the happy-go-lucky Sassy Malassi that he was before. But he agreed to do it. He said he would do it, and we knew that he was going to do it one time. And our whole game plan for the show was Mangol was going to get injured in the match with me, and Mangol would end up doing commentary along with Fred because we knew we had Phil May for this one-off because Phil also was, just kind of doing this as a favor and a throwback to before. So the day of the show, I'm walking through Shop and Bag in Dresher, Pennsylvania. You go down Limekiln Pike, right? And so I'm at a Shop and Bag, which Bill Apter always refers to Shop and Bag as Shop and Brag, because he says that's where you see all the women bragging about their children or bragging about this or whatever, and they're all conversing. So that popped in my head. But anyway,
Shop and brag T-shirt, pro wrestling tees.
I think we should. I think we absolutely should have a shop and brag.
That's populated.
Yeah. So I then get a call. I'm there. I'm picking up something for the show because it was like the day of the show.
Hemorrhoid cream and a rubber donut. And
Mike, pretty much, he calls me and says he really can't come. It's just going to cost too much money. It was going to cost him like $100 to take the train or something, which is not true. But yeah, it pretty much he held me up for. He really didn't want to come. He gave a bunch of different excuses. The reality is he just didn't want to come, and I ended up giving him like an extra $100. I think, right?
He was coming from New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think the end of the day, he just didn't want to. He didn't want to make the trip. And that's it. So he held me up for the money, and we paid him, and he showed up as only he could.
And he, I saw him in the parking lot, like outside of the place, and I was getting like I had all my gear and whatever, and I had to come back as Punch Fresh, and I had to kind of reinvent the costume and it was a similar look of from before, but with these MMA pants, sort of. I don't know what exactly they were, and boxing.
Pardon me, they were like a Muay Thai, like Well, no, they were like long. Yeah, who the hell knows? We got a title boxing.
They were great. I love them. But I got MMA gloves, and I got a mouth guard because I thought it would be a cool look. I don't know if Angle was doing that yet. I don't know, but I just had this
Angle started doing that in 06. Yeah, so
no, probably based on that. I just thought it would look kind of badass, and I was trying to set myself apart from.
I don't know if it was just the Angle thing. You were very much Rocky Balboa had come out.
Yes.
And like that's where your music ended up coming from and stuff. And you were very like, I think the concept of this is what's funny because we never understood how old we were, right? But you had this vision, I believe, and I think we all kind of did of like, well, Punch Fresh, he's kind of like Rocky Balboa in the Rocky Balboa sequel. He's the old man who's coming back for one more go. And you were, what were you, 24?
25. 25.
Were you 20? Yeah.
15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know.
So I was very, very proud of this this mouth guard that I'm gonna wear this thing, and I'm holding it in a case. I guess I had to like shape it to my mouth, but I'd never really worn it before. And I'm holding the case, and Mike, he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "It's my mouth guard for when I'm wrestling as Punch Fresh." He goes, "It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous." And I was like, "Mike, it's gonna look really cool. It's ridiculous." And I was so pissed off at him, and I was like, "I'm gonna show this son of a bitch that when I great." And I fucking forgot to wear it.
Do you want to wear it now just to make yourself feel better?
Can't that happen?
All right. T-shirt idea. Writing it down. Here we go.
We're not ridiculous.
On the mouth guard, like how Kurt Angle used to always have like
and it says ridiculous
like
on it.
machine or like whatever, you know?
And it says ridiculous on it.
Yeah, mouth guard that says ridiculous. All right, so available now, prowrestlingtees.com/
and shop and brag.
Talking with friends. Yeah. Man. So yeah, so that's anything else happened from that show that like is worth talking about?
We nixed the jump me leaping over the top rope and clotheslining you and starting that match off hot.
Dude, we
started at
Fred, I can't hear anything you're saying. What'd you say?
Was that the show that you stepped through the step?
No. So this one started off Mangol
came
running down, and I went to like reach over him in the ropes, and he got me in the midsection, and then I went in and we went fisticuffs right off the bat.
It was the spinning high knee, how it's supposed to be done.
You were supposed to, run down the ramp and dive over with a clothesline. And that was an audible call at the last second there.
Even though I could make it across, my problem is if a placement of yourself or whoever is not in position, I'm gonna end up being a lawn dart, and it's over. So I'm like,
No, so the thing is also, if you remember from that night, and of course you can go back here on FITE TV and check out
Josh,
in the archives.
All due respect, I was playing volleyball anyway. Remember one of the people, the message boards? Oh, there was like a volleyball player. What?
Oh, Josh, you wanted to the people on the message boards.
Did I want to mention the people on the message boards?
Yeah, you
Carol.
have to, because people don't understand.
Carol.
Haggard. Another T-shirt. Haggard.
Haggard. Carol was this ring rat person. I don't know what, she took pictures and put them in a
friend of Kevin Keenan, I believe.
She's a friend. Yeah, well, yeah, which isn't creepy at all that she was like 56 and Kevin was like 13. But but she would like follow people around or whatever, and then she somehow locked in with Rebel. And the only thing I remember,
a picture of this lady,
what?
Carol. Put on Castlevania on Nintendo. Go into the mansion, and one of those little things that kind of comes by with the white sheet on, and they're with the blonde hair. That's Carol. Anyway,
she we first introduced to her in the Morad era when she was doing review. Like she would write up the results of our shows and
right,
put them online.
Yeah, and she was,
which is absurd.
In some ways, I'll say she was somewhat fair. Like, she didn't tear us apart as much as she could have. So to be fair to her, and she also so she ended up working with Rebel, and all you'd hear all the time, Rebel would be like saying something, and then she'd go,
crystal meth, Rebel. Yeah, crystal meth, peeing on a school wall. Fuck you, Rebel.
Racist, terrible human being.
Worst.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So Carol was she was.
Can you clarify that this is the Rockin' Rebel we're talking about.
The Rockin' Rebel, not Rebel from Ad Free Shows, who we love, is wonderful, and yes, she's fantastic, and no, we're talking about the Rockin' Rebel,
which is a human bowel movement.
Yeah,
a human steaming pile of bowel movement, like the bowel movement in Jurassic Park. Yeah, the first one.
But yeah, so after 30 minutes of talking about this,
yes.
You guys want to talk about what's going on in wrestling today? But before we do that, you want to talk about our great sponsor?
Sure.
Well, why don't we go to this nice commercial from our great sponsor?
Can't wait for that.
Wow. Awesome, that is so. Yes. Thank you to the Wrestling Showcase. They're sponsoring this episode. And I'm hearing rumor, an innuendo, if you will, that the four of us will be on camera leading up to the Wrestling Showcase, but live from Schaumburg, Illinois. So we're excited about that. And we'll let you guys know more as time goes. Did you just say, really? Do you not know about this?
Can I say what a stacked card this is?
It's crazy.
I mean, amazing talent.
And there's Tatanka. Can we just address that we have one of my all-time favorites, Tatanka, is going to be in action.
I love me some Tatanka.
So Cardona has been harassing him on social media for a little bit.
Unprovoked, too.
Unprovoked harassment, I believe, is how it was referred to by Tatanka. And giving him a hard time about his action figure, but just straight up making fun of him for no good reason whatsoever. And Tatanka asked to be a part of this show. And he is, a lot of people go, oh, well, this is a work. This is what I think he legitimately wants to kick Cardona's ass. It's amazing. So
who doesn't? Honestly, I mean, come on.
I would like to see a Papoose to go on Matt Cardona.
Or 2 or 3.
Yes. A Papoose to go.
Plant that man like a seed in the ring. Oh, yeah.
What's happening in the ring?
I said, plant that man like
I don't think security is going to actually let Mangol in the in the building. So, but let's
drop him like a bad habit.
But honestly, let's talk about this show for a minute. It's It's making the rounds. We're not going to say as you're watching this. I'm pretty sure the bracket has been announced, but we won't say it just in case. So make sure you go to Rest Showcase at WREST Showcase, but just go to thewrestlingshowcase.com. That's got every link for every social media. It's got all the videos for each match. But yeah, you want to run through some of these first round matches? Kind of hype this up. By the way, September 3rd, as you saw in the video there, it is September 3rd. That is a Saturday. I think Saturday it's going to start at 4:00 Central. 4:00 Central time. Fred mouthed Central time, but we couldn't hear him. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. You're going to have to restart your Rodecaster or something. By the way, thank you to Rode for these Rodecaster Pros and
love
these
your
microphones.
Rode.
3 out of 4 podcasters love them.
This is actually my way of angling for their new 2.0 they just announced.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Great.
Maybe they'll just send us a bunch more free 1.0s.
Hey.
Right? Like, that would be great. No, so let's talk about it. So we've got one match right off the bat. Killer Cross versus Tony Nese. He is going to be accompanied to the ring by Smart Mark Sterling. Killer Cross will be accompanied by Scarlett Bordeaux. Guys, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, let's not forget Smart Mark on the outside.
This is true.
That's the question. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for that match.
Fred,
good, Fred. What? No, Matt, please.
No, look. Cross is cross. Man's got his stuff together and knows what he wants to do and how he's going to do it, and before the other person does. However, Nese, that man can bounce all over the place. I respect the fitness levels of both these individuals, and the talent levels of these individuals. You have Nese that can go acrobatic, Cross that can go even darker. You got Scarlett. Look, Smart Mark. He decides he wants to do something. Scarlett can.
I feel like Scarlett's going to kick his ass. That's pretty much the thing. So that's it. Like, Calvin makes a great point. You got Smart Mark out there, but I like, honestly, and I'm sorry, Mark, but
many factors.
But yeah, if I had to choose between Scarlett and Mark, I think no matter what the choice, what we're talking about, I think I'm going to go with Scarlett. But Fred, what do you think?
No, I think I agree, and I think as Cross and Scarlett have said, when the two of them are together, he wins.
This is true. I'm sure there's somebody out there that can look up the statistics of that. But I think what she was referencing was his time in WWE on the main roster. They brought him up. He was just so over and had this great presence on NXT, and they brought him up to Raw, and it just did not work, and they didn't bring her with, and they just didn't have that package. And I think maybe he lost some of the confidence when he was up there and from that. But God, if you've seen him working, he's been working the indies and now having an opportunity to work a big show like this, as he said, like, this is what he lives for. He loves shows like this. And that's really, in general, like, this is not an indie show. This is a collection of the absolute best that are on the scene right now. And some people go, the absolute best, and Tatanka. Dude, you have no idea. Tatanka is still in incredible shape, and that, to me, is kind of the match I'm maybe most interested in, and one of the reasons is because Cardona's hurt, but, he spoke to Nick Hausman of Wrestling Inc., and he was pretty much said, like, if I'm reading between the lines, what he said was that he's always ready. He's always ready with a plan B and a plan C and a plan D and all the way to a plan Z. And so, to me, I don't know that he's necessarily saying he's going to be ready to actually wrestle, but I feel like he's got something in the back of his mind. I don't know if it's going to be a replacement. I don't know that he gets to choose his replacement. That's something we kind of have to wait and see how that works out. But, I mean, you see he's already back in the gym. I mean, his arm's in a sling, but he's working out the other arm. I feel like there's a chance that even if he's not cleared to wrestle, that I could still see him and Tatanka, eye to eye at some point and something happening. So I'm pumped for that.
Yeah.
And I can tell all of you are as well.
I can't talk for anybody.
What do you gotta say?
No, I'm psyched for that too. We ran into Tatanka years ago in Waukesha,
Yes.
Wisconsin.
And now we get to be there in Schaumburg, Illinois from
awesome.
Where was it in Wisconsin?
Waukesha, Wisconsin.
From Waukesha, Wisconsin to Schaumburg, Illinois.
There you go.
We get to be there. And again, I don't know if we're doing it the day of the show or the day before the show, but we're going to be there. And the most important thing is that we will be down for breakfast the next morning to see Tatanka and his pancakes.
That man is a pancake destroyer. Never
can't guarantee he's going to hit a flapjack in the ring.
That's right.
But he's going to hit it for breakfast the next day.
That's right.
I tell you what, growing up as a kid, I was a huge Tatanka fan. He was, I think, one of my favorite wrestlers growing up as a kid.
Dude, growing up as an adult, I'm still into Tatanka. You know?
No, it's gonna be
But
great.
Tatanka was.
Money Inc. Kind of, as a kid, I was just like, oh man, he turned heel. He joined Money Inc. I was, not happy when that happened.
No, but back in the day when he had the red hair and the like he was, man, it was a big deal.
Man was over.
Yeah.
Tremendously over. Yeah, for someone who wasn't necessarily at the top of the card, he got a huge pop every time. He was a big star.
Yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing about this too is Tatanka, from what I've seen him write on social media, Tatanka is looking at this as kind of like a way to, I don't want to say like right the wrongs. Like maybe he never lived up to the potential that he certainly didn't live up to.
He should have been champion at some point. He should have been.
Yeah.
Especially Intercontinental champion.
And I think at this stage in his life, in this stage of his career, to be able to be like, all right, hey, I didn't win the Intercontinental Championship. I didn't, of course, win the World Championship. He didn't even win a tag championship. He didn't have anything on that large scale to show. So the fact that now, like, for him to be able to hang him up whenever he hangs him up, could be the day after this show, could be, 10 years from now. Who knows? The dude's in amazing shape. But I think for him to be able to go, yeah, things didn't work out, but I came back and was the first ever Wrestling Showcase champion. I don't think people, especially Cardona, I don't think are factoring in how much that actually means to him. And which is why he asked to be a part of this and why he wanted to be a part of the show. And to me, like that is what makes me go like, oh, it's Tatanka. That's funny. Weren't expecting his name, and go like, dude, I'm going to be on the edge of my seat watching what happens here. Cause he's not showing up to be like, hey guys, it's me, Tatanka. I'm selling my 8x10s over there. Like he is legitimately a part of this. So can you tell I'm excited about Tatanka?
The years of experience he has over Cardona.
That's true.
So talk about a potential something to tip the scales.
Yep.
To coin a phrase that's been used many times, man's forgotten more than Cardona's learned. You know what I mean? So possibly. So I don't know.
It remains to be seen, but
all it takes is 3 seconds.
This is true. Or 10 seconds if it's a count out. So we talked about Cross and Nice. We talked about Tatanka and Cardona, I guess. We'll see what happens. We also have, I think as far as first round matches, this is the one I'm like really pumped about. Steve Macklin versus Jacob Fatu.
You want to talk about big meaty man slapping meat.
Yeah, well, as Fred just tried to say, first time ever.
Yeah.
Steve Macklin, Jacob Fatu. And the interesting thing about that is, so Calvin Tan and I, and this ties into Rich Swann, who Fred mentioned earlier, and then I mentioned the showcase, but we'll get back to Swann, who's in this tournament as well. But Calvin and I were Rich Swann's guests to a MLW show. I want to say I was doing maybe the after chat at the time. I wasn't with FITE yet. Because I know we got in because Rich Swann got us in. The 2300 arena, the ECW arena. And that was the first time Calvin and I ever saw Jacob Fatu. And we legitimately turned to each other like, holy shit.
A Samoan hit the ring and it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What am I seeing? This is amazing.
Yeah. I remember I tweeted it out at Court Bauer, and he responded, that was how much, I felt like I instantly had to tell the world, dude, this guy's amazing. It is, Yes, Fred.
I don't want to.
You have to raise your hand. That's good. Raise your hand, and then we call on you. That's fine.
No, I was going to confirm that from the time you guys went to that show, and obviously you've interacted with him multiple times since and all, but continuously from that point, both Josh and Calvin have talked up Jacob Fatu, and like just continue. You don't understand how good this guy is.
Since then he became MLW World Champion, which I mean he's not currently.
Wasn't he like the longest reigning?
Yeah, I think so.
And if he wasn't, he was champion for a very long time. But he dude. So little inside baseball.
He's my pick to win this whole thing.
That's
Samoan Werewolf.
That's a tough
He's my
one.
favorite.
That's a tough. He might be my favorite. Maybe like to actually watch. That's the thing. Listen, what a good problem to have that I'm looking at everybody in the tournament and going, I don't know if even Jacob Fatu could win the whole thing. Like it's that really speaks to the quality of the tournament. The idea of being able just to watch him theoretically wrestle 3 times in a night. Like that's the thing too. Like we're talking about this match. We totally put him over and haven't put Steve Macklin over, who is a force. I mean, the dude just beat I'm trying to think who he beat. Jay White and trying to think who else it was, but he's like cleaning up in Impact Wrestling, and they've got people from New Japan showing up and he's whooping their ass too. Like Steve Macklin is like a monster. Like you do not want to mess with that guy. Yes, Fred.
I know I don't want to kind of talk about Steve Macklin because he deserves a little time.
I'm gonna call him real quick and just tell him that you're. Say, Steve, I was trying to put you over, and Fred raised his hand.
I'm not saying it's all about Jacob Fatu, but no, I just want to say for anyone who doesn't know, because at the time that you guys first started talking about him, I was not that familiar with him, and he's clearly part of the Samoan lineage of Roman Reigns.
Samoan dynasty.
Can we say for anyone watching this who isn't familiar with what the direct connection is, how he fits into that family?
His father is the Tonga Kid. So his uncle is Rikishi, right? If I'm getting that correctly. I know the Usos and Roman Reigns and all that, they're his cousins. I'm pretty sure first cousins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, like his dad's the Tonga Kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the guy is legitimate, from the Samoan dynasty. He's not, he's not like a guy who's like, he's like a third cousin twice removed but he's Samoan. So we'll just kind of, he's actually a part of it, but so what I'm saying is like Steve Macklin, like, so your first thought is, all right, well, Jacob Fatu is winning the whole thing. And then you go, okay, well, Steve Macklin. You go, oh, well, Steve Macklin, he's probably going to win the whole thing. And then you go, well, shit, it's not going to. They're wrestling in the first round. Only one of those guys is going to wrestle more than once. That is a guarantee. Only one of them is going to wrestle more than once. So that right off the bat kind of like, and we've talked about before, I think, I don't know if we ever talked about it on air or not, but like, I know Fred, you and I, we loved the King of the Ring back in the day.
Sure.
And like, that was the thing. Like, you'd look at it and you would think to yourself, like, it's, whoever it is, you take these two people and you go like, oh, well, obviously they're at least getting to the second round. Well, but if you've got 8 people who obviously are at least getting to the second round, well, there you go. You have no idea what's going to happen. And that brings us to our final match, which is Rich Swann, my good personal friend Rich Swann, who I defeated in his first match, my last match. But Rich Swann against a gentleman of many names, most recently Johnny Elite, will be going by the name of Johnny Showcase. The former John Morrison. He is going to be a part of this tournament, which again, now you're talking about like, who else? Oh, well, multi-time WWE Tag Team Champion, former Impact Champion, former Intercontinental Champion, former ECW, WWE CW champion, I think, right? Yes. And now man, just like how many other titles has he held in AAA? Like this is, and that's why I keep going back. Like this isn't like an indie show. Like do not miss this is what I'm saying. Do not miss this show because it is the first, and trust me, 10 years from now, you're going to want to say, well, yeah, I was at the first one, or at least I watched it on FITE. So I don't think the Wrestling Showcase was expecting us to go this deep into it with them as our sponsors. We never did this for Manscaped.
Well,
my irony is we're balls deep, so I don't know what we're supposed to do.
And thanks to manscaped.com, promo code TWF. What were we saying, Calvin?
It's just such a stacked card. It's hard not to talk about each wrestler involved, right? Because it's, I mean,
and then
any one of those guys.
And then we also have women's matches. We know there's going to be women's matches, but we know Taya Valkyrie has been announced to be a part of it. We know who else has been Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa. And we know Scarlett's going to, at least she's been advertised. So she was advertised as in Killer Cross's corner, but we don't know if she's going to be wrestling or if she's going to be just, accompanying him to the ring to beat up Smart Mark. But then we also saw an interesting thing, little interesting thing here. Saw a picture online of some flyers that were going around at a recent WWE event in Chicago. And those flyers had a person on there that has not actually been announced yet. Chelsea Green was on the flyer. So, I mean, it's like the old school WWF magazine, right? Something came out like, hey, well, it's got to go to print, so we got to get it out there before it's announced. So, so somebody online spotted that, and so you'd have to imagine Chelsea Green's going to be there. And if Chelsea Green's there, then you start to go, okay, well, that's 4 women that are going to be there. We don't know if Scarlett's wrestling or not. So if she's not wrestling, then that's 3 women. So what are we looking at from a match standpoint? Who's wrestling who? So that's exciting as well. So still more to find out.
I want to know if Rich Swann wins the Wrestling Showcase, does that make you the honorary Wrestling Showcase champion?
100%. Yes. I think it goes without saying that if anyone wins the Wrestling Showcase, if Rich Swann has a victory over someone who has a victory over them, then I will more than likely display a replica championship of it in my office. So, yeah, definitely. 1,000%, yes.
Wait, with a name like Johnny Showcase, how can he not win the tournament? So he's got to beat Rich Swann, so you automatically are not going to be Showcase.
Now, let's not get hasty. The thing is, though, you have to remember Johnny Showcase has named himself Johnny Showcase. That's like I can't
confident. Man's confident.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I can't call myself, Josh WrestleMania and be like, hey guys, I'm gonna main event tonight. Like just because he's confident, but just because he named himself after the show doesn't guarantee he's gonna win. If anything, it just guarantees that he's going into there possibly a little overconfident. Rich Swann, former Impact Wrestling World Champion. Like, let's not,
I know one thing about the match. Someone's coming off the top rope.
You'd have to imagine in that match. And that's something that's so cool too, is you've got almost like, you've got, so like Tatanka and Cardona, right? Is almost like your sports entertainment match, if you will, right? It's the guy's representative of that time. You've got your, big meaty men slapping meat type of, you've got your just heavy hitting, violent match of Jacob Fatu, who, don't get me wrong, can jump that top rope and hit a moonsault in a second if he wants to, and Steve Macklin. Then you've got Killer Cross and Tony Nese, which is kind of almost bringing in that AEW type of, and then New Japan style and all of that, a different type of pure wrestling style. And then you've got your high flying, some might say more of like a lucha libre type style. Of course, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Cabrieras, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. So, you know, you got a little bit of everything. But then what gets even more exciting is round 2.
Right.
Because now you've got a guy from the lucha style with the ground and pound. Like, it's, dude, I'm ordering a ticket.
Reminds me of, ever watch MMA where K1 had their dream or their dream matches, right? Where you have like Alistair Overeem. He was like a kickboxing champion, and he came in. And
well, it was almost like the original UFC concept as well, right?
Yeah.
People of different disciplines.
Right.
In a lot of ways, it is that same type of thing with that single night tournament. And listen, there are a lot of tournaments out there these days, and that's great. But this is a can't miss. So I feel like at this point, if we go any further, then people are going to be like, I'm not getting it just because they're too excited. So
they have a little something for our pre-show.
Yeah. We forgot to tell Mangol all about that. But yeah, so hey, before we wrap things up, because Calvin was late, so
kind of late.
You know, what's that?
Business to attend to.
Man was doing Rubik's cubes and jars. Can we talk for a second about just we mentioned Cardona's injury. Been a lot of injuries going on in wrestling, and somebody pointed out that like there's some sort of curse on the photograph of that photograph when CM Punk won the world title, and it's CM Punk and Daniel Bryan as the heavyweight champion, CM Punk's WWE champion, and then you've got Zack Ryder is the U.S. champion, Cody Rhodes is the Intercontinental champion, and then on the bottom you've got Matt Sydal and Kofi Kingston as tag champions, and you've got Beth Phoenix as the Divas champion. Do you remember that photo?
Mm-hmm.
How can you not remember that photo? It's like
I remember that photo.
Famous wrestling photo in the last 20 years. Well, anyway, everybody says that there's a curse on that photo now because that top line are all injured.
This happenstance. They're freaking wrestling.
No, but I'm saying they're all injured at the exact same time. What do you think about Cody Rhodes and the torn?
Man, one worked.
Tough to watch.
Yeah, wear and tear injuries, man. It's going to happen. At least nowadays,
do you think? No. What do you say?
That's it. Nowadays, they have better surgeries and they can kind of quicken the process and get right in the rehab. And it's a job hazard, unfortunately.
Now, Mangol, you being an exercise physiologist, you can kind of answer this question. And I'm not taking anything away from the fact that, I had a slight tear in my pec once before, and it does not feel good, like a hot knife cutting through. But Cody's whole the bruising, all that stuff, the blood going down, made it look so much worse than it actually is.
Sure.
Not to take anything away from it, it's freaking brutal. But like, man, it's almost like the way I look at it is like, if he tore his rotator cuff, right, you wouldn't see anything like that.
No.
But he'd be in maybe just as much excruciating pain, just as possibly even more less mobile, right? But it wouldn't have had that same, like, this almost was like the best injury because it created so much drama visually from the storytelling standpoint.
Yeah.
That people are just in love with him now because of that match.
Well, like man's got, a man's got heart, and he's got drive. Obviously, he's on a mission to get the title at some point. Mm-hmm. But an injury like that in that location, it's, when you have an injury like that, your body, there's more blood flow there. You get the swelling, right?
Yep.
That area just kind of pools, and the location of it is such where it's very evident, and you get that purple and it kind of travels through. But most people, unless you work on keeping these areas mobile with strength training and other things, you end up strengthening the muscles and tightening, a little bit up in here. So, in the rehab, as he's able to, they're going to be working a lot on doorway stretches, getting the pectoralis tendons to be more elastic like they usually are versus, this, I mean, the left side's not going to be much of an issue, but since he's doing the right side, they're probably going to have him do bilateral because you don't want to be thrown off symmetrically.
Well, they should.
But,
which is why, like, my message to Matt Cardona, it looks cool that you're back in the gym, but man, maybe skip working that other arm because you're going to look lopsided in 3 to 4 months when you're.
There's isometric exercises you can do as you get to a certain point of recovery with that arm, so it doesn't atrophy as much. But a week or so after you're back and you're doing the strength training as you're able to, because it's gradual. Because look, you got an area that is when it heals up, it's going to be the muscles shorten, right? So you have to take time to get them lengthened again properly. Otherwise, you're at a higher risk for a tear again. So the initial number of probably 3 to 6 weeks, maybe 2 to 4 weeks of physical therapy would be a shitload of stretching and icing just to kind of get that range back. And then as you get that range back, you can build strength again. But, and look, a lot of times too, with these injuries, I believe their workout style and what they include in their workouts, will be more fitting to keep them from having injuries like this again.
Yeah.
Because look, you do get caught up in doing the bench press and the barbell and this and that, but there's other things you should be doing too, to make sure that the front side of the body, the back side of the body, the upper body, the lower body, everybody's doing what it's supposed to do. You're posturally correct. Your muscles are working efficiently. Nothing's doing more than it should, right? Working the back muscles enough, just like you do the chest, that evens things out. It's all biomechanics. So the thing is, you want your body to work as efficiently as possible. Their body is their job. So I think they come out of this and have a better, more well-rounded, diverse routine that doesn't involve just strength training. So I think it's going to be good. And I think they'll come out of it, stronger, better. They have some time to think about things and reignite that drive. So
two things. Two things. Number one, for more information of stuff like that, go to personaltrainingunlocked.com. No joke. That's where Matt Mangol is there. That's what he does when he's not over here quoting movies and stuff. Matt Mangol is the guy that you need to go to if you have questions about, hey, I've got this, I've had a bad shoulder for years, or, oh, my back's kind of messed up, but I want to get back in shape. What can I do other than just, here's the machine, here's a dumbbell? Matt Mangol will take you through it. I still am. I've moved to a different program, and then I go back to Matt and I work with him, and then I do whatever. But one thing, he set me up with all these different exercises to do in the beginning of my workout. So no matter what routine I'm doing, I'm making sure I'm doing those horrible, horrible roller gimmicks on my legs with the IT band. And like, dude, it sucks. It hurts. But it's made it so that getting back into shape at this point, because I am a shape, but getting back into a much better shape, it's a lot easier because of Matt Mangol. So thank you, Mangol. Go to personaltrainingunlocked.com. But I do have one other question for you, Matt. Sure. And this is because you know all this stuff.
And mobility breeds strength gains. So
there you go. My question is about the pectoral surgery. And I think a lot of people probably want to know this, just based on the side of where it is and the convenience. Can you remove a neck tattoo during surgery for a torn pectoral muscle, or is that a separate?
No, it's separate. It's separate.
Could it accidentally happen where we're just kind of like, oh, well, all right, I guess we just won't put that back, right?
Yeah, the man's. I believe he trademarked that, right? So
I was there.
It's not. It's the only thing more of a commitment is a Mike Tyson tattoo on the face. But
I was there the day Cody got.
Put my ass in Nintendo all the time. He can do whatever he wants to do.
I was there the day. I believe it was the day after Cody got the tattoo.
Right.
It was the first time anybody saw it, and he shows up backstage. And I was like, is that real? And he's like, yeah. And that was the first time I lied to Cody Rhodes. And I said, oh, dude, that's cool. I love Cody. Great guy.
He can do whatever he wants to do.
Of course he can do whatever he wants. I will say, if it were about 2 inches lower on his neck, I don't think it would bother me the same. It's because it comes up. If he grew a full beard, which I don't know if he can or not, but if he grew a full beard, it would like cover part of the tattoo. And that to me is, now it's starting to become a face tattoo, if you ever really look at it. But regardless, whatever. I wish him.
Beard, you shave that area around the tattoo, which stand out for.
Speaking of Cody Rhodes, I think he is a good example. I know that a lot of people talked, and I guess us talked about when WWE released a bunch of talent that we thought, oh, why would they let this guy go? Why would they let this, this person go? It's a perfect example of letting a talent go, having them make a name for themselves,
kind of revolutionizing the business, right? Like,
and then bringing them back and using their star power. Maybe some guys do need to be let go to grow, and to turn into stars.
Learn a new hold. Yeah, Cody never. I don't believe Cody ever would have reached this point had he stayed in WWE, because he would have been working under the WWE vision of what Cody Rhodes could be.
But what was tremendous, no matter how it came to pass, Stardust was great.
I loved Stardust,
and I missed that.
Yeah.
I
liked when he did the little cartwheel and the thing like that at WrestleMania when he came
back. But I mean, like a guy like I bring his name up again, Killer Cross, right? Maybe they had to let him go. Let us find his way on the indie scene, become a big star, and then they'll just sign him again when he's ready.
You know what a great way is to make them want to sign you again? Win the wrestling showcase.
Well, he's got to beat, he might have to go through Johnny Showcase. He might have to go through Jacob Fatu. He might have to go through Steve Macklin. He might
have to go through Rich Swann.
True.
That's not going to happen.
Tatanka.
Takes a real man to beat Rich Swann. I'll tell you that much right now. He might have to go through. Hey, he might have to go through Tatanka. Like, seriously. Number one, we don't know. And you watching this, you can probably find out the brackets, but we'll talk about that next month. But he could have to wrestle Tatanka. And like, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what a Tatanka Killer Cross match looks like. Like, I can't picture Killer Cross kicking the crap out of Tatanka, and I can picture him kicking the crap out of most people. So I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, I can't visualize him like beating up Tatanka. So it's gonna be. I love the fact that Tatanka's in this. I love it.
Excited.
Yeah, but yeah. So I guess that's it, guys. People will probably be like, why didn't you talk about MJF? Because what are we going to talk about?
We don't know.
Good promo.
I will tell you, I was there. I was there backstage that weekend. I saw him Friday backstage at Rampage. And then Saturday, start hearing he's not there. And all I'm like is, I'm getting calls from people too. Just, who, is he there? Is it a work? Is it a shoot? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm not hanging out with him. So I saw him the night before, but for all I know, he left. And then Sunday, the first time I saw him, and I was there all day long, the first time I saw him was when he walked through the curtain. And I will also tell you that I was backstage hanging around the gorilla position. He got taken back on his stretcher through like a kind of back area, which I was not going to like run after and be like, hey, what's going on? How you feeling, buddy? But I did not see him again. So I just want to say, I have no idea what's a work, what's a shoot. If he's legitimately pissed off, like legitimately pissed off, he could have said, you know what, screw this. All right, Tony Khan. No, I'll go out there. I'll give a little work thing and I'll get hot and I'll, throw a little, and then went out and said whatever the hell he wanted on live TV.
Well, the best thing, I mean, I have the impression that just anything out there is a work, but I will say that the best things have a little bit of truth in it.
Sure.
Right. And I think there is something underlying there that he's running with that is true.
That I would agree completely. And again, I don't know this from talking to him, but I know you can tell that some of that frustration is there. It's just like the CM Punk deal with him and Punk, like it, obviously there was parts of that, it's a story, it's all that, but you could tell how much of that there was reality to what he was saying. And I think MJF, the one thing that I will say for MJF is I think he has the potential to be a generational talent. I really think he does. That promo reminded me so much of Ric Flair, but in Ric Flair's classic promos, but in a genuine way to who MJF is. And that is not it reminded me of Ric Flair and in no way felt like he was trying to cut a Ric Flair promo, if that makes sense. But the one thing I will say is to become that generational talent, I think he needs to stay in AEW a little bit longer. Because I think if he got out now, let's say they fired him, right? And he went right over in WWE. He's like, great, we'll bring him right on. He's not ready yet. He's not ready yet he needs to be, like when Ric Flair came over as the real world's champion in the early 90s, and when Ric Flair came back after WCW closed, Ric Flair's entire gimmick was that he was Ric Flair from NWA and WCW and all of that. He didn't have a WWE presentation to him. Yes, Fred.
Do you think were he to come over to WWE right now, do you think that the risk would be something akin to Chris Jericho debuting in WWF? Like a guy who was really over, making a name for himself as a heel somewhere else. He comes in with a big bowl of hype, and it falls apart quickly because he's young and inexperienced and can't work on that level at that point.
I think he could work on that level. I absolutely think he could, because you have to remember what that level is different than what that level was when Chris Jericho came. You're talking about Chris Jericho came in, it's like, okay, man, hang with Triple H, hang with The Rock, hang with Stone Cold, hang with The Undertaker, those guys aren't there anymore. So now you're talking about, what are you saying? Like MJF comes in and you're like, okay, but can he hang with, who? I can't even name people in WWE right now. And the reality is, I'm not saying that they're not talented, and there's a lot of talent there, but you've got all these NXT guys, they're not any better than MJF. And MJF has been, it's not the WWE style or whatever, but MJF has been learning from some of the best in the business, So
it's a yin and yang balance, right? Like if he does go over to WWE, he needs a counterpart that will complement and also push him, right? And who is that right now in WWE? The only person I can think of that would make sense would actually be Cody, because of the history.
If he went over there and feuded with Cody, that would be incredible. Honestly, if in a perfect world, and this won't happen, but in a perfect world, MJF leaves AEW, Cody wins the world title, and MJF cuts him off the next night when Cody's giving his acceptance speech of winning.
Can you imagine the promo, that promo?
Holy crap.
Right? That would be amazing.
That would be, not only would the promo be amazing, but people would just be because that would now be transcending promotions. It would now be a feud for professional wrestling, and a feud that's lasted years.
There's probably other reasons that wouldn't happen, I guess, but
like contracts and things like that.
Right. But wouldn't that be unlikely, because even though Cody is back and Cody is the Cody of the Indies and of AEW, but he basically says I went some other places for a while to find myself and figure things out. They don't want him talking about all his various feuds in AEW and all that. So then you bring
unless they've got the guy. Think about it.
Does that make any difference? I'm saying at that point now the history is a history that was built in a different company that I'm not sure.
Yeah, but they
Cody
acknowledge
is
history.
AEW. Like when Cody came over, he is AEW Cody. He came over with the music. The fans knew it. Everyone knows this is Cody from AEW.
Yeah.
Well,
He wasn't repackaged.
But I'm this is just kind of a side branching conversation. But have we ever seen WWF or WWE acknowledge a feud, a history from another company? Like they acknowledge the success. Like certainly, like a big example would be like Sting comes in. They acknowledge, and obviously they own WCW and whatever. They acknowledge Sting was from somewhere else, but you didn't see them working Sting and Ric Flair and talking about that history and all that kind of stuff. You know, they're trying to.
Yeah, but he could say you didn't make it in that other company. Like he can not say the company's name.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff they can do. Look, they've acknowledged Joe and AJ Styles, but not much, to be honest. Like it was like these guys have crossed paths all over the world, but now they're here in WWE. Like they never really acknowledged, you know. And I think there's a lot of that. I think Joe and Kurt Angle did not get the acknowledgement when they had their match on Raw. Like I don't think there was enough of an acknowledgement of that or anything really that Angle had done in TNA.
That's my point.
It's interesting. It's interesting to think about that, but I think MJF is. I don't think MJF re-signs with AEW when his contract's up. I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to do some stuff. I think he's going to probably get the belt on him at some point.
You want the future WrestleManias, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cody wins the world title at WrestleMania. MJF comes and cuts him off, which sets up the next WrestleMania for the entire year.
Yeah,
like that's
look.
You have two WrestleManias right there.
I could see Cody and MJF main eventing a WrestleMania one day. I really could. I really had hoped we were going to see Joe and AJ Styles main event a WrestleMania one day, but I think they got the wrong Joe and the wrong AJ Styles. I think they're too old, and I also think their style was not one that WWE was ever going to see as the like WrestleMania main event. MJF is WWE like through and through. If you look at him, he is he's just, I really think that there could be a lot of potential with him. I think an MJF versus, there are not a lot that you can get excited about nowadays, but an MJF and Randy Orton, an MJF and The Miz, like, is a built-in feud there because people have compared him to The Miz and stuff. I think that there's just so much opportunity for something there, and maybe it'll happen, but I don't know what's going on with him now, and I think the reality is they're just kind of letting it sit for a while, and I think he's probably having legitimate issues, and I feel like they probably squashed those issues, or if they didn't, they pretty much were like, let's kick the can down the road a bit, and we'll deal with it, but why don't you take some time off, and so I don't know. Or he legitimately went backstage. I would have, I was happy to be there at the pay-per-view and at Rampage before in Vegas. Dude, I would have loved to have been standing in gorilla position when MJF came back after that. That would have been something I would have loved to have known. Did he come back and storm off? Probably did, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because every time I've seen him off camera, he's been in character.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I will tell you this, and the only reason I'm going to say this, I won't say anything that I ever see backstage or stuff like that, unless it's out there otherwise. And I've seen pictures, like the Owen Hart Foundation Facebook page, which, by the way, there's a nice picture of me and Dr. Martha Hart on the Owen Hart Facebook page. And she was incredible, by the way. It was a wonderful night for her and her family, and it was really awesome, and it was an absolute honor to be able to just talk to her after the presentation. All that was just a highlight of my entire career. But there is a picture where you can see the board in the back that has the order of the matches and all that. And when I first got there that day, the one thing that jumped right out to me was Wardlow versus TBD. And, so then you start going like, are they working the boys? Are they doing this because of guys like me that are not employed by AEW, and because I easily could have called my good friend Dave Meltzer and said, hey, they got MJF on the board, he's obviously here. So, or was it TBD because Tony Khan was in a room with MJF, not sure whether or not MJF was going to wrestle? So there's enough of it. I guarantee you when he came back, if there was probably yelling and him probably storming off, whether it was a work or not, but it's just my guess on it.
I just think that he's one of those old school guys, right?
He is.
From the old school guys. You're a heel, you stay a heel,
dude,
even out in the public.
And that is not an easy thing. Having been a heel in the past, like it is not an easy thing unless you are a guy like MJF, who, like, I think MJF's a heel. He's just a real life heel. I'm not saying that he is that all the time, but I think he is a real life heel, and I think it's easy for him to be that way because I don't think he particularly cares for people. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Dennis Miller. Well, that's it, everybody. I don't know that we have anything else to talk about here.
Not today.
Not today.
Oh, we ran the gamut.
Yeah, I think so. An hour and 24 minutes. Did this show last longer than TWF Returns? Wasn't that a really short show? Didn't it run way too?
Dude, I have no.
I think it ran really short or something.
It felt like it was moving. That's
yeah. Well, hey, everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. Make sure to go to personaltrainingunlocked.com. Again, we talked about that. Follow us on social media. I'm at So Says Shernoff. Fred is at Frederick Shernoff. Calvin is at Underground Magi or Calvin Tan Magic, depending on where you are. And Matt Mangol is at Mangol Strength. Did I get them all right?
Yeah, there's also at PT Unlocked and whatever.
At PT Unlocked, yeah.
All good.
Did I not put you over enough? And and of course,
never did in the ring.
Check. Well, listen, man. That's just, you got to give the fans what they want. Hey, you know what, Matt Mangol? Is it breaking news right now? Are you going to be a part of the wrestling showcase? Will you be in the ring?
Oh, I don't know.
Will you be bringing your gear just in case?
I always bring my gear, sir.
You have to.
You never know.
And I will be bringing my gear. By my gear, I mean a suit and a tie, because
pancakes,
What? Oh, Calvin Tan. Calvin Tan's working out over there. Hey, you never know. Fred's hopping on his trampoline. Yeah.
15 years. Been a while.
15 years. It's man, that's crazy. Yeah, it's time, Fred. It's time. Ric Flair's having his last match at StarCast. He's been out for how many years, right? And he's 73. You're just like that.
You get me Vortex, and we'll talk.
Well, talk to Vortex's wife. But that's the real battle you have to get through to get to Vortex. But I will say though, Vortex in better shape now than he ever was when he was in the ring. He's in tremendous shape. But yeah, so that's that. Also, of course, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/talking with friends, at TWF show, at the TWF show on social media. So check that out. You don't want to miss it. And then of course, everybody go to thewrestlingshowcase.com right now. You have all the links you could possibly need right there. You're going to see, of course, the great sponsors of the Wrestling Showcase. You're going to see the matches. You're going to see the talent that's been announced that maybe doesn't even have a match announced yet. But that talent is on there. And then, of course, you know that you can actually buy your tickets right there. There's a link. You don't even have to click the link to go to Eventbrite. You can actually, from the website, buy your tickets if you're going to be in the Schaumburg, Illinois area. And if you are, Calvin Tan, tell them where to get some deep dish.
Lou Malnati's deep dish.
Lou Malnati's.
I get it shipped overnighted here. It's so good.
So fun fact, if you're looking at it going, well, I don't know, what are the Talking with Friends guys going to be doing with the wrestling showcase? What role will they have? How will they be there? Well, one thing I can tell you for a fact is where we are going to be, I believe, Thursday night, and that is going to be getting ourselves some Illuminati pizza.
Illuminati's.
Getting ourselves some Illuminati pizza. Yeah.
Do we have to wear white when we go in there? It's a pizza cult.
Oh God. Well, on that note, episode titled "Pizza Cult" is over, and over like Matt Mangol, Fred, myself, and Calvin's wrestling.
15 years ago, I had my back broke by Mr. Big Lou.
Golden. Oh yeah, yo, it's Big Lou.
Broke my shit.
Yeah, it was the slowest run-in the history of wrestling. So go right now and go to thewrestlingshowcase.com, order it on FITE. It's available for pre-order. Get your tickets now. And of course, there's going to be a wonderful meet and greet going on that day as well. And that is definitely where you're going to want to be between the hours of 10 and 1 local time.
Oh, meet and greet. I didn't hear about this.
You don't know about the meet and greet? It's for sale.
You get to meet all the stars that are going to be there.
All the stars. Everyone who is competing, or I guess even appearing, right? Because we don't know about Scarlett, but everyone who's competing or appearing at the wrestling showcase will be there for, first, there is a 1-hour VIP meet and greet, which is a little bit more money, but it's half the people at that session. So you get to really spend some time hanging out with all the talent, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, you go from there to, you have 2 other sessions of meet and greets, and they are limited to, I believe, only 100 people can be in each session. So definitely go now, because there's a lot more than 100 people attending the event. So, which, by the way, go get tickets, because there's a lot more than 100 people attending the event, already attending the event. So go get your tickets now. But for Matt Mangol, for Calvin Tan, for Fred Shernoff, I'm Josh Shernoff, and we will see you next time on Talking with Friends on FITE. Somebody want to give Calvin a Donnie? Oh, you got him. Bye now.